All right, so welcome everyone to this group conversations for the community relations team. I'm David Planella, Director of Community Relations. I'm joined here by the rest of the team. As usual, if you've got any questions, just feel free to add them to the document or voice them as well. You have the slide deck. If you would want us to expand on any particular topic, just let us know as well. And with this, I'll open it up for questions.
It looks like I have the first one, so I'll go ahead and get us started. This question is for David. The Code Contributor Program has experienced a great success over the last year plus, and we wish Ray success in his new adventure. But as we look for someone new to take the charge, what do you think is a key element of building such a strong and vibrant community of code contributors? And also, how can we keep this momentum going as we move forward?
All right, thanks a lot, Christina, and thanks again for asking for adding the first question to the document. If I were to pick the one key, I mean, I can think of a few, but if I were to pick the key element, I think the right balance in growing a community with data, analyzing the patterns and making sure that we keep delving into those, but also making sure that there's that human component as well. So it's not just about asking people to contribute, it's about being supportive there, and it's about becoming part of that community as well. One thing that's important for this role is that that person can also inspire others to contribute and can inspire them to grow as leaders within our community as well, so that we get this ripple effect. That's what we always want to achieve in any community, whereby it's not just driver contributions, but it's a set of people, a set of champions that grow as leaders of a community and keep contributing. I think perhaps to summarize, the ability to nurture that the type of community and also making sure that this is something that we analyze with data, we keep optimizing, and we keep analyzing of better ways to foster that growth.
Thanks, David. I have the next one as well. We have a new role on the team, a community operations manager. Welcome, Lindsay Olson to the new role. David or Lindsay, would you like to tell us a little bit about the high-level goals of this position?
Sure. You want me to go, David?
Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so community operations. So some of my responsibilities include maximizing the community relations team as a whole. So where productivity or efficiency is involved, hopefully having an operations manager to drive some of those tasks and that work is going to be a good move for us in the future. It's already really positive, I think. But basically, my new role is to act as a partner, I guess you could say, to all of the different programs and the program managers on the community relations team. I'm going to be helping define and refine our KPIs and our PIs and help with some of the metrics and the data and work with those teams as well. Also working toward being the DRI for our web pages and the forum still. And what else? A tiny piece will be lowercase community advocacy. I'm still going to be in the community, making sure that our customers get what they need in terms of communication. I'm going to work really closely with the social team and the communications team to make that happen. And also work on some content to make our community programs the most engaging place that they can possibly be. So I'm really excited. David, did I miss anything? You want to add something?
I thought that was great. Thanks, Lindsay.
Cool.
All right. I think, Sid, you've got the next point in the list.
Congratulations on 389 MRs in 13.4. I think it's a big milestone. Couple of years we were at a 10th of that, so it's been amazing, and I think we'll see engineering as a department starting to lean in heavier on helping to drive this. So I'm excited about what the future holds, but congrats on this record and monumental achievement.
Indeed, and I'd like to praise Ray here, who's not on this call, but not only Ray, it was really a team effort with merge request coaches, the core team as well. The hackathon that we organized right before the release had a direct impact on those numbers as well. So there were many people involved in preparing, in promoting, and during the hackathon as well to help people contribute, especially if they were first-time contributors as well. I'm actually personally also excited about this this collaboration, or perhaps more intimate collaboration with the engineering team. I know that that Ray had already started working with the quality team to help them provide some data for one of the KPIs that were being discussed, the famous MRR as well, and we'll be seeing more and more of this collaboration as well.
Glad to hear you're looking at MRR. There was a slide that says success in EU is drawing attention from IT. What does IT mean in this context?
Sure, thanks. Thanks for pointing that out. I should have spelled out. So IT is information technology. So oftentimes the office that runs the university IT reports up to the chief information officer and is generally called IT. So our model right now for education includes free licenses for the teaching, learning, and research side. But for the IT professional administration or operation of the university, we're charging for that. So we're starting to see a cycle where professors all around the world, it's amazing. Sometimes I cross 12 countries in a day, are finding us somehow, and they're starting to adapt GitLab and really move forward computer science and all different kinds of research at the university. And the IT departments are seeing this innovation and seeing how it's speeding the development of code for research and teaching and learning. And then they want a little piece of it. So they're starting to ask for referrals and understand a little bit more about the offering. So we're starting to see some positive momentum there. And I put some links in the slides about some early plans to start kind of taking the next steps on that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Christina. I think, Amanda, you've got the next question.
Yeah, thanks. So apologies in advance if this is already a thing and I'm just showing my ignorance. But first, I just want to say you've done such a great job with the education program to create this community of future advocates. So my question is, for those folks, do we have any kind of certification program where they can go into their LinkedIn and kind of advertise themselves as having gone through this GitLab program in their schools to make them, attractive for future employers?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. That is a great question and a great idea, and that's definitely on our roadmap. We don't have something like that now. And the company as a whole is working towards bringing our certification onto a new learning experience platform. And we've purchased that platform and are starting to implement it. And so we now have we're in the implementation phase of the tool that is required to deliver that kind of certification. And once that's up and running, we can start to build that out and link directly to LinkedIn and start that loop. But that is an absolute wonderful suggestion, and I'm really excited to get that going.
Yeah, I'll just add that it was a really proud moment when I got my Salesforce certification and I could put my license number or whatever that number was that I got, my certification number on my LinkedIn, like to show it's official. I'm not just, I didn't just take some course, but I've been certified. So I think that would be really cool.
And that's a huge movement in the learning and development industry right now is that the benefits you reap from people sharing that on LinkedIn, and it's getting our name out there and advertising the course. And I should mention that professional services right now is the team under Christine Yoshida. She is developing the GitLab certification courses, and so whether or not that course will become an entitlement to our education program members is something yet that we're going to have to figure out. With 1.66 million members, we don't want to overwhelm her team. So there's a little bit of a scaling exercise that we're going to have to undergo as we move forward with it.
All right, thank you. I'm guessing, Amanda, that answered your question. All right. Next question. I think it's Jerome. Would you like to voice it, please?
Yeah. So I have some team members that are really interested on working on community code contributions, but they're on the growth team, and typically we don't get a lot of contributions in the growth areas. So my question is, what's the best way for them to get involved?
I can think of a few ways, and this have been working. I mean, and this is something that's worked and for other teams or other functional departments in engineering as well. There's some groups that have started to run office hours for contributors, and these are a good way to get in touch with those contributors that are particularly interested in contributing to that part of GitLab. One of the things that worked well in one of them, if I remember correctly, was a live session whereby a contributor submitted an MR, and the review was done live during the call as well. So setting up those office hours and working with our code contributor or our new future code contributor is something that you might want to consider as well if you don't have one already. Another one that has proved to be successful as well has been to work on the hackathon preparation. Essentially, the quarterly hackathon is an event where the GitLab community rallies around contributing to GitLab. We have a set of prizes also for incentive, and we work with different engineering teams to highlight work that could be good for either first-time contributors to get started, or perhaps some issues that are not on the roadmap but would be interesting to get implemented, so that some more experienced contributors can pick them up. In practical terms, the way that has worked is essentially getting together with each one of the engineering teams and essentially group a set of issues in an epic that's specific for the hackathon to give them more visibility for contributors. And then whenever we announce the hackathon, whenever we promote it, and then we point contributors to those issues as well. So that's a good way to get started. And specifically, if we want to see contributors increase for a particular group, then we can work with that group to highlight those potential contributions for them as well. And then yeah, I can see some other suggestions being typed by some other members of the team as well. So perhaps John, if you've got one with the label.
Yeah, we also have a label that you can apply to issues. This good for new contributors label, and that is another good way to get more visibility for issues that you think community members could pick up and help with. So I did a quick search to see if the growth team had any issues with that label. It doesn't look like they're using it right now. So that might be like just another small iteration you could make to see if you can get more contributions for your section.
Would we also be able to filter down by that label and just jump in and start doing the reviews on it? I think in the past it was Ray that used to have the incoming reviews and then assign them to teams. Is there like a board where our engineers can look and just sort of pick off any?
I mean, in general, I think that's up to those teams. I'm not as I don't have such an insight as Ray had, but I've been involved in the process as well. But as far as I know, the work that Ray did was to make sure that the reviews were assigned as well. But I also know that there's some work done by the quality team in terms of assigning automatically the right labels for the right group as well, and then pinging the reviewers too. But I think for your particular question, I don't think there's a particular board for that.
Just really quickly to jump in, the good for new contributors label I thought was specifically for easier issues because it's meant for people who are kind of new to contributing and all of that. So I think that one might need to be triaged a bit, and we may need to think about how to continue to apply that. I personally would be really interested in trying to come up with and promoting that label more, because I think that other organizations can benefit from having a label like that. And then people really knowing, like, if I'm a new contributor, new to the project, this is where I should really start, and make sure that they're like fairly easy ones to begin with.
Hey, David, one more thing on Jerome's last question. I think considering having a team member is considering to be an MR coach, there are triage reports or issue reports, I should say, that list out all of the current community contributions and then break them out for MR coaches. I'll add some details to the agenda, Jerome, so you can consider that, and feel free to reach out to me if you have questions on that as well.
Great, thanks everyone.
Yeah, good point. And then just to build up on what Kyle is saying, the quality team has done a great job at helping us with automating quite a lot of those processes as well. I'm just going to add a final link on the on this question to the code contributor handbook that gives an overview to those triaging processes and also to the labels. All right, and moving on, Brandon, would you like to voice your question?
Please, no. Thank you, fantastic. I was just, I'm curious if, and this is maybe not exact data, so it's okay, entirely fine, just kind of what your observations are. Do we have any overlap with our contributors and our community with the big projects you see on slide 29? And the answer could be like, I'm not really sure, which is fine if you do, but obviously the interest there is if we're getting any cross-pollination between where a lot of developers are and GitLab. And I think it seems like we've done an awesome job with the free software world. And I was just wondering if you all are seeing just observations plus or minus with the open source world that you kind of highlight more on 29.
I can address that one, and then if other folks on the team have input, I'm happy to have them add their thoughts. But just to be clear, on 29, those are like the organizations where our developer evangelism team is kind of involved. Yep. And so that's where that list of logos comes from. As far as visibility into whether folks from our community are contributing to those projects, I don't think we have a great way or any way of tracking that right now. I know anecdotally, I hear from community members who are, contributing to GitLab and also contributing to, some of these other communities, but there's no kind of data-driven way that we're tracking that right now.
Okay. Got it.
One thing that I'll...
I wanted to add. Oh, sorry.
Go on, Michael. I'll just add it afterwards.
No, I just had in mind, I don't know any big contributors. One thing which is also listed on the slide is communities where we're planting the seeds, and some of my coffee chats sometimes generate contributions like issue comments or even discussions on, I think lately we discussed improving the colon registry with the package group. So there is something going on right now, but it's the small planted seeds with our community efforts, but no direct relation to any bigger projects, for example, in the cloud native ecospace.
Great, thank you.
Just something. Oh, go ahead, David. You've been waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So just with the context that John has shared, that this is these are organizations that the developer evangelism team has touched. Perhaps a couple of other data points. There are some projects in that page with whom we've been working more closely, and I mean these are actually this free software vault type of projects that you were mentioning, Brandon. So it's not yet the next wave, but most of the contributions that we get at this point are with filing issues, feature requests, and less about MRs. And this is something that that is very much in its infancy right now. In terms of tracking the organizations where these contributions come from, there is some initial work again as part of this new KPIs work. I know that Ray, before leaving, was looking at ways of exporting the data from our analytics platform to be able to identify the actual organizations that contribute to GitLab. So we might be able to have a better way, or rather an automated way, to track this more accurately in the future.
I also want to add another thought, which I just had. So last week we announced the Gitpod partnership, and we're currently, our engineers are working with the Gitpod engineers to create an environment or workspace for the GDK to make it easier to contribute. And this is something which we are trying to try out maybe next week in our English coffee chat, the Everyone Can Contribute coffee chat, or maybe in 2 weeks' time. So we're trying to kind of show how you can contribute and how you can, for example, use it in Gitpod and in a cloud dev environment, and kind of planting the seeds again to make it easier to contribute.
It's awesome. And by the way, you all are covering a huge amount of ground. These are just patterns. I'm just tapping your brains and what you've seen. That's awesome. I think I got the next question, which is just any observations, and this is more on a competitive nature. What, if anything, are you seeing and patterns with either GitHub Actions or, Microsoft's DevRel teams and stuff? Anything you all see there? That's a long question, so maybe can take it offline if it's easier to chat there, but would love to have your all's brains and what you're seeing.
I've added some ideas or some quick notes on that. What I'm seeing is that the documentation and the tutorials they have, so they also open sourced the documentation last week, I think. It's really appealing to get started. So you have the Hello World application and you click around and you just have the first success. And I think this is something what we can improve upon. So we're working on easy going, getting started CI/CD workshops on meetups and creating also train the trainer sessions based on that. But yeah, it's a relatively young project, I would say. So there is a marketplace and there might be some best practices around, but I could see a point where you don't know which action you want to use. There are like 10 of them. You have no idea what's going to happen. And I could see there's some kind of unsafe moments or uncertainty where to go next when you have started. Where GitLab CI/CD is more mature, more guides, more anything on the internet. So it will be interesting to see where we are going, where GitHub is going, and so on.
Thank you, Lindsay. Yours.
Just one final thing on that question is that we haven't started this yet, so that's a caveat. But we're starting to talk with the strategic marketing team to evaluate creating competitive benchmarking with some of the CI platforms as well. So we will have more data when we start that as we follow a more structured approach.
Yeah, just wanted to add anecdotally, I think the kind of feedback that I get are people are in more of like the assess or trial kind of phase with GitHub Actions, and I haven't heard of many folks that have like adopted that as their like main kind of CI tool just yet. So that's kind of the anecdotal feedback I get when talking to other people. There's interest, but I don't think there's been a ton of adoption.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got 1 minute left. Perhaps we can try to tackle the next question.
It was a question from me, but you know what? Since we're out of time, I think it's fine to table it to next time. Thanks, though.
Thank you. All right then. Thanks.